Planes, trains, automobiles, and buggies even. We're taking off into a big travel weekend ahead with AAA predicting a record number of Americans planning to pack their bags for 4th of July. So what should you be expecting if you're one of them? Robert Sinclair Jr., AAA Northeast Senior Manager, joins us now live in living color in studio. Great to have you here with us.
Good to be here.
Help us set the scene, set the tone for this big travel weekend that's coming up.
Very busy. Record number of those who are overall travelers, those who are driving, 43 million, flying, 4.1 million. And of course, we've talked about how we measure things differently, where a trip out west for somebody flying is one trip, there and back, even if they have connections. So busy. And the other category is just 300,000 from setting a record from 2019. So those are trains, buses, and cruise ships. And cruising is very busy. So it's busy. 85% of those who are traveling, though, are driving to their destinations. Gives you the freedom to go when you want, make up your own schedule. You have transportation at your destination, so that's the overwhelming mode of choice of travel.
So, speaking of schedules, I have a selfish question for you. When is going to be the busiest time on the roads?
Today and tomorrow, usually after like 2 p.m., really hits crunch time, 3, 4 p.m., because you've got commuters mixing with holiday travelers. And so, it all comes together at the same time and it gets very, very busy. INRIX does anonymous vehicle tracking for us, and they're saying that in some locations, we're going to see traffic volume 64% above normal at those times. So
maybe I need to adjust my leaving time.
You should go jump in your car now.
Right? Okay, guys, I'll see you later. I'm going to go.
With that in mind, though, that means you're sitting in your car for longer. You think about some of the electric vehicles that'll be on the road as well. How have you kind of looked across the fleet of vehicles or the kind of total volume of vehicles that travel during a time period like this and look across that particular subset within electric vehicles to know how frequently they'll need to be charged, how much, even though they're not spending as much as traditional ICE and combustion engine vehicles to fill up, how much time that adds on because you've got to sit and charge it.
Well, we have electric vehicle charging trucks in most of the major markets around the country, but only 1 or 2 per market.
Interesting.
Electric vehicles make up about 1% of all the registered vehicles on the road. Lately, the sales are through the roof. The first quarter of this year, the sales were like 68% above last year and 7% of all new vehicles. But they still haven't penetrated to the degree that we anticipate that they will one time. And consider there's 177,000 gas stations in the country, but only 109,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Gas up your car in 2 minutes. It takes 20 minutes to charge up your electric vehicle, so we probably need 10 times more electric charging stations. They're on the way. We calculate them based on numbers in the market. Our market is rife. There's lots of electric vehicles here. So that's why we've got 2 trucks in our region. But as you get up across the country, it gets a little more sparse, but it's going to grow.
You said there are how many charging stations?
109,000.
That's actually more than I thought, and that probably doesn't count home charging stations.
No, it does not. Those are public charging stations.
More than that.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, for the families who have a gas-powered car and an electric car, and they're setting out to make a weekend or a week-long trip versus their daily commute, are most of them probably choosing that gas-powered car?
They're taking the gas-powered car because the Great American Road Trip is very difficult to do in an electric vehicle. You have to do a lot of advanced planning. Tesla is very helpful with their website, letting you know where their charges are and how long it'll take you to get there. But still, for total freedom, gasoline is the way to go.
And so let's talk about the other part of this as well. I mean, we're tracking and talking about a lot of the vehicle travel that's going to be taking place. Are people then instead saying, you know what, for ease of just making sure that I can get to my destination quicker, are you seeing more people now start to opt for flying or other modes of travel?
In the other mode, cruising is very big. There have been some discounts and people are taking advantage of them. Still discounts to be had, still bookings available. AAA is one of the largest leisure travel agencies in the country, so we pay attention to that sort of thing. But car travel is still overwhelmingly popular. One thing, though, that's sort of an anomaly this year compared to last. Gasoline prices are about $1.30 less this year compared to last, but demand for gasoline is down 4.4%. so far this year, and 20% below 2019, even though we've driven slightly more miles, 62 billion miles in the month of April, according to Federal Highway Administration, which is about 0.1% more than a year ago. So gas prices are cheaper, we're not burning as much, yet we're driving more miles. I'm thinking internal combustion engines are more efficient. Every new IC engine is more efficient than the one before, and the proliferation of electric vehicles is helping. But I think a lot of people, because of inflation, they don't have a lot of extra money for non-essential driving. They're paying food prices, the inflation is bad, shelter, particularly in our area, is very bad. So there isn't a whole lot of money left over for non-essential trips. And I think back to a survey we did in 2018 during a good economy, and 40% of drivers said that $3 a gallon was the pain point for the price of gasoline. They'd have to cut back in some other area of the family budget in order to afford gas at that price. We're at $3.57 now, and the economy is not as good. So I worry that number is higher.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. As you look at travel trends and what still seems like a really strong travel environment, as you've been outlining, are there signs within travel where you see people cutting back? Are people taking shorter trips, for example? Are they being less extravagant when they're at their destination? How is that working?
That's probably it. They might be cutting back on the distance and the activities that they engage in at their destination. Americans get the fewest number of any vacation days of any workers in the industrialized world.
It's a shame. We need to change that.
Yeah, we do. I mean, look at Europe. They take most of August. Most of Europe takes August off.
And they have a siesta as well.
Yeah, exactly. So when we get a free day, a free vacation day, we combine it with other vacation days and we make a go of it. I mean, we're anticipating this is a 5-day holiday, Friday until Tuesday. When the holiday is on a Wednesday, it's 6 days. So people for the holiday, they will be traveling, but I think for the rest of the year, they're kind of pulling back a little bit as far as their road trips are concerned.
It's remarkable to me that you mentioned cruises twice in this conversation. Once at the outset and then once later on in terms of where things are starting to reemerge. And we've seen that in some of the stock price performance. I mean, if people have been sleeping on it, Royal Caribbean, however they're pronouncing it at home, it's up like 184% in terms of the share price action over the course of this year. So clearly that recovery is continuing. From the AAA perspective, though, what would you look to say that cruises and the cruise industry has made a full comeback?
I think the elimination of restrictions on cruises after COVID is what is bringing everybody back. People have always loved cruising. And if you're in a place, you live in a place where you can just drive to the dock, like here, it's especially good. You drive, you park, you ascend the gangplank, somebody sticks a drink in your hand, and the party starts. You don't have to get on a plane or anything like that. So I think that has improved the appeal, and all this pent-up demand from COVID is now just being unleashed, and people are taking cruises like crazy.
They'd have to have me double fisting getting on that cruise in order to get me on the vessel, quite frankly.
I don't know, Robert, it sounds like you're a cruise fan.
Yeah.
To be honest, no. Those places start getting a little small. I mean, the ships are huge, but after a day or two, they start feeling very small. I like wide open spaces and be able to hike and that kind of thing.
You join the club here, but we're still looking for the person on set who's a cruise.
You can find a fishing boat or something like
there
that.
You go.
We'll go to a lake. Yeah,
take a trip to Guatemala to see volcanoes. That's what I want to do next.
Actually, that sounds way better.
Yeah, there are 25 volcanoes in Guatemala.
Active volcanoes?
Active volcanoes in Guatemala. A co-worker of mine is from Guatemala.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going one of these days.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make a trip.
Sign me up.
All right, Robert Sinclair Jr., AAA Northeast Senior Manager. Great to see you as always.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Especially ahead of a very busy holiday weekend.